Imagine taking highly complex service operations and elevating them into a streamlined, precisely coordinated process. Welcome to this expert talk, where we will demonstrate how service with advanced execution unites technical planning and commercial control into a single cohesive framework designed for organizations that deal with intricate, resource-intensive service scenarios. I'm Anastasia, and I have the pleasure of talking to Abhishek and Gert about the benefits of the solution. Abhishek, Gert, thank you so much for joining me today. Happy to have you on board.
Thank you.
Abhishek, to start off, could you tell us, please, a little more about service with advanced execution and its capabilities?
Sure, Anastasia. So first of all, thanks for inviting us. Let me kick off with some of the basics first. It is important to mention that service with advanced execution is very much a part of the service module in the SAP Cloud Private ERP. Now, in service, we offer business processes for field, in-house, and recurring service. And in fact, it starts with service initiation and goes all the way into service selling, planning, execution, even billing and finance. And this is exactly the same for service with advanced execution. So service with advanced execution is a special variant for these end-to-end business processes. So let me try to paint a picture of how this solution has been designed so that it would be much easier to understand the capabilities that it offers. So within service with advanced execution, the process is kind of stitched around the integration between service and maintenance management. And in fact, with this, we try to bring a clear distinction between commercial versus operations. So one way to look at this is that you can imagine that the entire chain of process steps in advanced execution could be split between multiple personas. On one hand, you can have the service manager, whose main strength lies in the sales and commercial aspects, like negotiation, contract definitions, and margins. On the other hand, you could have the maintenance planner, who is really the technical expert and is highly knowledgeable in planning and processing service. So in fact, the main intent of this solution architecture is to kind of bring the best of both worlds together into one single seamless business process. So maintenance management is bringing very powerful planning and execution capabilities to the table, like real-time cost tracking, condition monitoring, resource and material planning. And this then is combined with the well-established commercial capabilities of service, like service contract integration, item-based accounting, warranty, and so on. So this is really the crux of advanced execution.
Got it. Thanks, Abhishek, for introducing us to service with advanced execution. Gert, one question to you. Can you please explain why companies would choose to use the service with advanced execution option rather than the regular service process?
Sure, I can give it a try. So to explain the use cases for service with advanced execution, I would like to maybe come back to an expert talk we did last year. Last year we talked about how you can define service along 3 dimensions: how, where, and who. So how is the service initiated? Where is the service performed? Is it in the field at the customer site, or is it in-house? And then who is all involved in service? And with these 3 dimensions, you can build up any type of processes that we can cover within service. To talk about the use cases for advanced execution, we need to introduce a 4th dimension, or a 4th element, which is what is the object that is being serviced, and what is the complexity of that object. So if we look at different industries, we see that in some industries, service could be a relatively short activity on a single component or a single equipment. And in other industries, it could become very complex, where you have very complex machinery, hierarchical components, assemblies that need to be dismantled. Every individual component needs to be planned, executed, repaired, and then again assembled and again made operational to the customer. So there's a very diverse complexity of service. And what we see with service advanced execution is that most companies that use it for this more complex scenarios. Because you can, like Abhishek explained, we can benefit on the one hand from the advanced functionality and maintenance management for operations, for planning and execution, and we combine it with the service capabilities for commercial activities.
I'm sure our audience would also love to see that in action. Abhishek, can you show us, please, what this solution looked like?
Absolutely, Anastasia. So when I try to think of what are the highlights of the advanced execution variant, I think the most important ones are that it's the brand new user experience that it offers via the Fiori Launchpad. Then we have the resource-related quotation and billing via DIP. And not to forget the item-based accounting and real-time revenue recognition. So let me try to showcase these aspects or these capabilities in the system. So first we start with the Fiori Launchpad space and pages that is available for the advanced execution. Using one of these options, we can try to create a resource-related service quotation. Of course, this is under the responsibility of a service manager. How we arrive into this quotation could be the result of a maintenance planning cycle, or it could be via an ad hoc customer service request. Yeah. So in this particular example, we are talking about a pump that has been damaged or it has been broken down, and we are trying to do the immediate service for this. Now, in the standard service quotation, we have enabled, as part of the advanced execution process, a brand new type of item. This is called the execution order item. And in fact, this is the core of the whole process. Yeah. Execution order item, in fact, orchestrates the entire process in advanced execution. So in the demo that we are going to show today, we are treating the execution order item or the main item as statistical with the billing relevance of itemized billing, which means eventually we want to do resource-related billing. So the service manager now performs a step called send to planning because they realize that they need some basic information from the technical expert. So they need some planning and cost information. So once this send to planning action is performed, the system automatically creates a maintenance order for this purpose, and this is corresponding to this execution order item. Now we move into the perspective of the planner. The maintenance order which was created is not an ordinary maintenance order. We call it the billable maintenance order. And the rest of the process that we discuss now revolves entirely around this association of billable maintenance order with the execution order item. So this is something, the billable maintenance order in the queue of the planner now, and they now contribute with their technical expertise, do a little bit of adjustment in the planning, resource and material planning, and once this is finished, they can use the function of submit for approval, and this is to inform the service manager that the planning is completed. Now we come back to the service manager, and when you look at the service quotation, the service manager is now able to visualize the complete planning data, including scope and cost, from within the quotation. And this is in the form of so-called resource-related cost sub-items, or you can say RRCO sub-items. So the service manager is now able to utilize these RRCO sub-items to negotiate the scope, and more importantly, the pricing. Because for the pricing, you can use two models. One is the cost plus markup model, or you can also use the model where you directly charge the resources consumed to the customer. Now, so moving on, next, once the negotiation is concluded, then the service manager goes on to send the code to the customer and finally accept. Now, the accept event has three very important consequences. First, of course, is the service order gets created as a follow-up, and the entire item structure that you see in the service quotation is copied over into the service order, and the pricing also is taken over. The second important impact is that the maintenance order which was used in the planning, in the quotation phase, is transferred or taken over into the service order. And in fact, now it is ready to go into execution. But the third and probably the most important consequence is that we have to remember that the service order item is an own controlling object. This is the principle of the item-based accounting. And as soon as you accept the quotation and move into the service order, we are immediately able to see the planned cost and revenues. And this is in fact the beauty of item-based accounting. Yeah. So of course, these are the this sets up the advanced execution into execution mode, and now we can go ahead and release the service order and finally release the maintenance order as well. And next, using the standard Fiori app of perform maintenance jobs, you start now recording the progress in the execution. And with every step that you record, you have a direct cost posting into finance. Now, one of the most fascinating parts of this entire process is that with every cost posting, there is an immediate reaction in event-based revenue recognition. So EBRR is automatically recalculating the revenue recognized, and this is easily available for the service manager to visualize. Yeah. So and of course, even in the service actuals app, we are able to see all these EBRR cost postings, the original costs, and so on. And of course, the final step is to perform the resource-related billing via DIP. For these, we have the Fiori tiles called, one of them called create resource-related billing. And using this, you can create the DMR and debit memo and finally post to accounting. So Anastasia, this is just a glimpse of the entire advanced execution process, but frankly, there is much more, yeah.
Thanks, Abhishek, for this great demo. You showed us the highlights, you showed us the benefits of service with advanced execution. This is great. Gert, now over to you. For customers that are currently using the, let's say, old customer service or CS solution in SAP ECC or SAP S/4HANA, what would be our recommendation?
I would say there are two approaches, right? As you've heard from all the extensive functionality in service with advanced execution, I think a lot of the existing CS customers will immediately recognize a lot of the capabilities in advanced execution, and it's like the easy or the easiest solution to go to. That's one approach. The other way of looking at it is, of course, let's take a step back and look at the required processes that companies have, look at the key capabilities that they're requiring for their business, and then based on this, make a decision. But I would really say, if companies recognize the capabilities that Abhishek just presented, then definitely service with advanced execution is the right solution.
Mm-hmm. And for customers that want to transition to SAP S/4HANA service with or without advanced execution, would you say, is this as easy as just a switch in configuration?
No, it is not. Now, moving to service is a business transformation, right? So service is typically, if you look at an organization, really in the center of an organization. There's touch points with almost every other business area, whether it's finance, procurement, supply chain for spare parts, there's a lot of touch points. And if you're going into the new service solution, right, you need to involve all of these stakeholders, because one way or another, they're going to be affected.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, I think the most obvious example is finance, because I mean, in service we are actually making use of all the latest capabilities that finance offers, like for example, event-based revenue recognition, margin analysis, and so on. So it really helps to have the accurate data and real-time data monitoring for business steering. And this is really an example of finance innovations, bringing value to the service business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it, Abhishek, thank you. Gert, as you're part of our business transformation and architecture organization, can you share, please, with us how SAP helps companies in the service business transformation?
Yeah. Our customers are not alone, right? So we support them together. So as you said, I'm part of BTNA, Business Transformation and Architecture, and the name says itself. So we are supporting our customers together with our consulting organization, together with partners in this business transformation to the new service solution. Yeah. Typically what we do is we first do a high-level assessment of the current situation or the current landscape of a customer, because we know that many of our companies, many of our customers are using complex, highly customized solutions today. They have their own add-ons, modifications, extensions. So just taking whatever they have today into the new world does not always bring the value that they're expecting. So I think it's important, as I said before, to take a step back, to look at what kind of processes are required, and what is the value that these processes are supposed to bring to the business, and then start building on top of this. So first, high-level assessment. Second, we can take it a step deeper, right? We can start looking at what are now the capabilities that are required for service. How is service sold? We saw the example of the quoting process. What kind of agreements do companies have with their customers? How is recurring service planned? How are spare parts handled? Billing, we saw one example as well, and then in the end also finance. So you need to look one step deeper at what are the business requirements to run the service process. So processes first, business requirements second. There's a third element, I would say, which is more technical, and that depends on how companies are moving to cloud ERP, right? Is it greenfield implementation versus a brownfield migration? And for companies that are doing brownfield migration, we offer out-of-the-box migration objects. So they typically want to kind of move, let's say, running contracts that they have with their customers into the new environment, and we have for this migration objects. If you take all of this together, I would say that we have then a good understanding of what the business processes are, what the requirements are, what the technical landscape looks like, and this should give either the SAP consulting organization or our partners enough information to provide a target architecture, to define what the value is that this will bring, and also provide a roadmap and a project plan.
Thank you so much, Abhishek and Gert, for these insights and for this great talk. Today we saw how Service with Advanced Execution brings advanced planning, commercial control, and also real-time financial insights together into one streamlined process. Abhishek and Gert showed us when this approach is most valuable, how it supports complex service scenarios, and why transitioning to SAP S/4HANA Service is a true business transformation. What do you think of the solution? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more expert talks. For deeper conversations and to engage with other professionals, visit the SAP community. And if you have questions or ideas for a future episode, email us at insiders4@sap.com. Goodbye and see you next time.